Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Vlad and I help electronic music producers to learn how to produce radio-ready music that sounds as good or even better than your favorite artists. And in this tutorial, we're going to learn how to produce organic tech house. If you are a music producer who's already able to finish your tracks, but you're struggling with mixing, you want to learn how to make your tracks sound polished and professional. You want to learn how to mix 10 times faster, how to find your signature sound, and get a predictable, a good result every time you mix a track. Make sure you download my mixing cheat sheet, and without further talking, let's get started. Alright, so here are the things that we are going to cover: arrangement breakdown, kick and the bass breakdown, drums breakdown, melodic elements breakdown, and lastly, how to make your track sound polished and professional. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be talking about is the arrangement. And the problem I see with people's arrangement is that they just put too many sounds into the arrangement, and because of that, they're struggling with mixing, their tracks sound MIDI, they can't finish their music, etc, etc. So let me break down the full arrangement of this track. I will not go like really deep into the details, but we will break down the fundamental and the most important things. All right, so if you want to get more streams on Spotify, make sure you start with a hook. And in this example, this is how I would start my track. So I would literally just start from here, you know, like the vocal, the hook, the melody. So let me play you this part. Alright, so you can hear from the beginning that I am starting with the hook, with the theme, with the main thing that captures the listener's attention, and you know, start with that, but make sure you do a extended version of the track, you know, with the DJ intro like this one. This is more for the club, but for the Spotify, make sure you start off with the hook, otherwise people will just skip the track. All right, so to add some more variation to the track, what I'm doing here, I am not playing the drums, but I am letting people to feel the groove, the kick, the bass, the space in the track. So make sure that in your tracks you have these parts where you don't have too many elements, just the kick and the bass. If you have a groovy kick in the bass, the solid foundation, people will love that on the dance floor. So this is a really cool thing. All right, so after that, I'm adding some variation here. So this is like the main drop with the drums, with instruments that are playing together. A pretty intensive part, right? So this is it. And then again, so basically your track, it's like a roller coaster. You should have parts in your track where it's, you know, where it's pretty chill. Then we go up, we go down, we go up, we go down. This is what you should have in your track. Otherwise, if you have just, you know, really flat track, although it's not a problem, and there are a lot of tracks, a lot of music that is pretty flat, some deep house, tech house, some of the tracks that are not meant to be this way, right? But make sure you understand that, and when you can, make sure you have ups and downs in your tracks, because this will keep the listener engaged. This will help them, you know, to feel nice and feel that the track is interesting for them, right? So this is basically the down, right? So this is the up, this is the down that I've had in the track. And after that, using a filter on the kick and on the bass to smooth this transition. By the way, the track is not finished yet, but it's pretty much finished, right? So just make sure you add some variation. And some effects as well. So this is basically the breakdown, really cool, really interesting part of this track. As you can see, I don't have that many elements in the track, and this is really the key. You should not have too many elements. Music should not be complicated. It can, but it shouldn't. That's not the key. The key is to make the listener engaged, make them feel the music, and if you have too many elements, they will get lost in the track. That's basically how this works, right? So I'm utilizing the main theme. We will talk about the melodic elements, but basically the structure is simple. So the intro, then like the bridge, again, the main drop, the most intensive part, again, the bridge, then the breakdown, right? Then again, the build up. I'll play this. Alright, so you can feel that we are building energy here, right? So when we are entering the breakdown, the energy goes down. When we are exiting the breakdown or moving towards the build-up, the energy is pretty high. And then again, we are on the peak, and then we go down towards the end of the track. You can also check some, I think I've made a video about arranging a tech house track, so this one is going to be somewhere here, right? So yeah, that's basically pretty much the track. Also, one of the cool things that you can do is having like a pause here. You can hear. Right, so this is basically the whole arrangement. So let me draw this again for you. What is happening and what I see a lot of people do, they just, let's say that this is going to be your track, right? So they have a track which looks like this. If you imagine that your mix or your track is a box, they are trying to put too many elements in the track. And the problem is it's just hard to focus, and they keep adding and adding. They want to add more and they want to add more, right? So this is a beginner's mix, how it looks like. On the other hand, we can have a pro mix where we just have, you know, the main elements of the track. So let's say that this is going to be like the bass, the kick, this is the foundation, right? So this one. Then we could have some, you know, like additional like vocals here, something here, something like this, right? Then we could have some pads at the background. Let's say, you know, something like this. So this is going to be the pad, right? And then we could have some like percussion sounds like on top, you know. So it's not very complicated. I hope that this can illustrate what I mean. But basically, I think you can get the idea that if you put too many sounds into the track, it's not going to sound better and it's not going to, you know, become better instantly. You should really, really understand what you want to put inside your mix, what elements are necessary, what elements are not necessary. So this is really important. This is one of the keys to get a good sounding mix. The sound selection and the arrangement is the key, right? So the next thing that we're going to cover, kick and bass sound design. So let me show you the kick and the bass. I will talk a little bit also about the melody. So the melody is really simple. We just have the root key, right? So the C. I really often, most of my tracks are in C because my instruments work really well in C, right? So basically the variation, we just go up one semitone, which creates that tension, right? So it's Phrygian. I also made a video about that. about music theory for tech house, you can check it here. But basically, I love Middle Eastern vibe, and this is what I have in all of my tracks, right? So we have this variation, and then it just sounds nice, right? So I will not focus that much on the melody, but let's talk about the sound design, the sound selection of the bass. So I'm using two oscillators. The one is a triangle, and the second one is like more like harmonic-ish kind of sound. So if I solo, you can hear that this bass, it doesn't have that many high frequencies, which makes it hard to hear on smaller systems, which can be a problem, but there is a solution that I'm going to talk about now. It's really nice and really deep. But the problem with that bass, it's not really audible on big systems. And to solve that problem, we are adding a bass on top of that. Now it sounds cool. This is cool as well, but it lacks some high frequency. So basically, if I illustrate this for you, this is what is happening, right? So we have the sub, right? Which looks like this. So this is the sub, and this is the power of the bass. And on top of that, we have the top bass, which looks like this. And this equals to, I'd say, presence. Right, so we are combining the top bass and the sub bass to get one nice layer. That's really the key to a nice bass. Keep in mind that depending on the key, this is not always needed, but since the C is really low key, it needs that. But if I would make my bass in F, right? You can hear that, but it also works, you know. So this is really the thing. So if you work in a key, in low keys like C, then you might want to use the top bass. And for the top bass, what I did, always make sure that you cut the low frequencies, otherwise it will clash, it will conflict with the low bass. So if I do like this, it will not work. Plus, this bass is in stereo. So basically what I'm doing with the top, what is happening, right? So we have the bass in the middle, which let's say looks like this. Oops, wrong pen. Which looks like this. So it's really like in the middle. So this is the sub, right? This is the sub. And then we use this top layer to add width to the bass, which is really nice. Not always needed again. This is width, right? This is what is happening. So one is in the middle, the second one is wide, right? So let me show you this. You can hear that here we have unison. You can use different algorithms, also using some erosion, some saturation. This is more about mixing actually. I'm just focusing on the idea here. Right? It's wide. If I don't use unison, it's mono. It's not that interesting, right? But with unison, we can make the bass more interesting. Also, one cool thing about this bass is I'm also using the third envelope to add some pitch modulation. So, right, let me make it longer. You will hear. So this is what is happening, right? I'm adding a little bit of that to add some, let's say, bounce, you know, to the bass. And this is pretty much it. You can see everything is very, very simple, actually. I can play you the instruments so you can hear the difference. This is without the top bass. Even this part. So it is there in the mix, but something is lacking, and with the top bass, we can easily solve that. And on the top bass, you can use some reverb. I would use it usually on the main channel, so over here, but you're free to use it on, let's say, on the return channels. I mean, why not? But usually on the top bass, you want to use shorter reverbs, shorter delays, but you can use some stereo effects, which you cannot do on the main bass on the sub, because it needs to be in mono, right? The next thing is the drums, and I will also talk a little bit more about the arrangement here, actually, to show you how important it is to understand the roles in your mix. So let's say that we have the basic drum loop. This is the loop that I'm using, right? With the instruments. Sounds good now. Let's bypass the reverb and the delay. But what happens if I add a top loop on top of that? You will hear it becomes messy, and this is what I see in a lot of beginners tracks. They just add, but in reality, a lot of the times, less is more and simple is better. So you can hear that this drum loop is pretty simple. If I play you this, all right, so basically what we are trying to do with the drums, so we have like the kick, the let's say, so this is going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So this is the kick. On this one we have the clap, so the clap is going to be red, right? So this is going to be the clap, and here we have the clap as well, right? And basically what we want to do in between we want to add some, you know, some variation. Let's say we add some, I don't know, like some 16th notes here. So this is like the variation, maybe something like this. And also really important to have something at the end of the loop, so it loops and resolves in a nice way, right? Because if it's empty, it may not sound that cool, but you can see here, this really helps to loop it. So if I play you this, it's actually 5 bars long. So you can see I do have some variation. I know some tracks, it's okay to have 2 bars long, but sometimes longer means more interesting, right? So if we play this one, so this is like such a small thing, such a small detail, but it makes a lot of sense. And it helps to resolve your loops, right? So don't make it too complicated, keep it simple. And you can see that I just have like the shaker, and this is basically it, you know. And it's really enough. I mean, if we look at the claps here, again, the same thing. We are layering different sounds, different instruments. So let's say that this is going to be like the low clap. So this is the body. Let's say the next one is going to be like texture. And the next one is going to be like noise, or like top noise, or we can call it crunch. I mean, it really depends, but I'm showing you this idea that combining different sounds, it gives you a more interesting end result, so to say, like the end sound that you're getting. That's basically the idea. That's the reason why we are layering the sounds, right? So this is what I do to my hats. This is what I do to my instruments. Also layering synths, layering with organic instruments, right? So here again, the same thing. This is the noise, adding some variation. So if I play this, this is basically it. Really, really simple, but it works really, really well with the rest of the drums and with the rest of the instruments, right? So the next thing is going to be melodic elements breakdown, right? So this is an organic tech house or like organic house-ish kind of track, and the word organic, it speaks for itself, right? So the main elements, two main elements, is the piano. And it basically plays throughout the whole track. So what I did, I played on my MIDI keyboard, just jammed, improvised, and I ended up with this melody. Also, a cool advice for you guys: use instruments, use MIDI keyboards, use controllers, as it will give you a more interesting, much better result. That's really the key to making your tracks more interesting, more professional, right? So basically, this is the theme. I call it the theme, as it is like the main theme of the track. And I don't have the vocal yet for this track, but I want to turn this track into something like more commercial pop-ish kind of vibe. So on this track, I would say that this is the most important element. But of course, we do have some additional elements. So this is I think that I use really often, just some hits. No, it just adds some atmosphere to the track, right? Sounds really cool. Right, I really like that. The next thing is the oud, which is also really, really important one. It doesn't play the solo, it just adds some like what was the name? Ornaments, I would say, something like this. Listen to this one. Also, don't forget to add some accents so you can stress the different parts of the track. So for example, here you can see the brass. Really nice. And also the flute. I have recorded the flute in my studio, so this is how it sounds. Pay attention to this. Then again, some details here, like hits, effects. And this one. So this one is really cool. You can hear how playing with different instruments, it's like call response, different instruments, they play different roles in your mixes, and that is the key. And after that is my favorite part, although I like the whole track, but here we have the rhythm, right? This is the rhythm, the oud. This is really, really simple, but it was really hard to record. I've spent like 20, maybe like 25, 30 times before I've got this look right, and I'm still not satisfied with that. But again, the key here to organic sound is use more organic sounds. Obvious, right? So using some piano, using maybe some guitar, if you play guitar, flutes. I mean, you can use context libraries, you can use like Omnisphere, I mean, anything. But the key here is use more organic sounds, keep it simple, have a nice groove, and this is how you make the organic house, organic tech house track, right? So this is the rhythm. One of the problems is that these two instruments, they play in the same register. So I've tried pitching the piano like one octave higher, one octave higher, and it didn't sound that good. So basically what I'm doing to make it more interesting, to make the mix sound cleaner, is using the filter here, right? So you can see also really cool thing that you can do, you can add some, you can hear that this is the transition, right? And here we have the fill, like the melodic fill. This is from my previous track, by the way, so make sure you export the loops, the one-shots, everything that you have in your tracks. Alright guys, so this is pretty much it. I've tried to make this tutorial pretty simple, pretty straight to the point. If you want me to make more organic house or organic kind of tutorials, let me know please in the comments below if you want me to do more videos like that. I have a very special offer for those of you guys who are still with me and who are still watching this video. If you are passionate and serious about music, you want to do it full time, you want to do music as a career, I would like to give you a free strategy session. So this is only for people who are serious and who are ready to invest. If you are not ready, if you're not serious, if you're doing music just like for fun as a hobby, don't waste my time, don't waste your time. But if you would like to start consistently releasing radio-ready music that sounds as good or even better than your favorite artist, build your fan base, find your fans, get gigs, start making money with music, I would like to schedule a call with you. So all of the links are down below. It doesn't matter what is holding you back, whether it's mixing, sound design, music production, music marketing, we can get all of these problems solved for you. So if you are interested, please book a call. All of the links are down below. As always, thank you very much guys for watching this video, and I see you guys soon.